Assalamualaikum and very good day to all my students. So we continue with our lecture session in the chapter 9 graphical user interface. Previously, we already seen the overview of a graphical user interface. So now we move to a subtopic of chapter 9, whereby I'm going to show you how to develop the graphical user interface using NetBeans. So basically, we're going to create a JFrame. So this is JFrame, and inside the JFrame, we're going to have two J panels. This is first J panel, and this is second J panel. So inside the first panel, we put in the input person info. This is label, and then this label change the fonts of this label has been changed, and then also we're going to have two radio buttons. And second panel, we're going to have three labels, and the labels text is name, age, department or program. Also, we have three JTextFields and then one button. So this button is used to submit this input, and we're going to display the output something like this. So this is at the next frame, another frames, whereby that this output frame has one button, whereby that when we click this button, it will prompt up or display the information of the input that we just entered in the input frame. So let us go to our NetBeans. So first of all, we need to create a project. So we create a project. So still use Java with N, and we choose a Java application. We choose next button, and the project name, just name it as a test GUI. This is my project name, and then I click finish. Right. So in source packages, there is no package. We just create new package. So naming as a similar to the project name. Just put it as test GUI, all in a small letter. So inside the test GUI package, I'm choose a JFrame form. So this is where we can create a frame. If you can't see or you can't find this JFrame form, you go to the option of others here, and then go to swing GUI form, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, inside the swing GUI form, and select JFrame form. Okay. So name it as your frame. So I'm going to name the first frame as an input, right? Input form, something like that. Okay. So just click finish. Okay. Once we in IDE screens, so we will see that there is a frame here. Okay. And then we notice that inside this package there is a Java file which is in the input. The name of Java file is input form, and then you will notice there is three tabs, three tabs in input form.java, source, design, and history. So on your right side, you will find out there is properties. Okay, so this is in my screen. I have a properties dialog box. So inside this properties, you will also have a tab events and code. If you did not find these properties, you can go to, if not mistaken, you go to window, then you select IDE tools, and then this is properties. So another tools that we need to have is a palette. So I don't have the palettes in my screens right now, then I just choose this palette. So this palette is very important when we want to develop a GUI, right? So let me make it. You can see this GUI. So you will notice that there is few subgroup of palette. You will see that there is a swing containers, swing control, swing menus, swing windows, and swing filler, right? And this is we are using a swing component instead of AWT. Okay, so because a swing component can run at multiple platform, you can run in Windows, you can run in Mac, you can run in Linux. Okay, normally what we going to use is a swing container and swing control. Most of our academic session of GUI, we choose this two group of swing components. If you want, you also can have a swing menus if you want to add a menus. Okay, so like I said that controls contain a label, a button group. You have a can have a radio button, checkbox, text fields. Okay, and then in a swing container you can have a panel. Okay, you can have a tab pane as well, right? So based on the example I show you previously, so we are going to have two panels. So I just select this panel. You can have a drag and drop. So I'm just selecting this panel, put it in my Windows, something like this. This is the first panel. Okay, so when I select this panel and locate that panel in frame, if you go to this properties area, right, you will see that the name of panel is JPanel1. So if I'm selecting another panel, okay, so I'm putting something here, you will see that this is JPanel2. You will notice that you can't see here panel 1 or panel 2. Uh, uh, then you need to see by uh, mouse over or hover in your frame, right? But then how you want to know that this is panel 1 or panel 2? Okay, so you need to click this panel and you will find that the name is JPanel1 and this one the name is JPanel2. So this name can be, this name is belong to the name of the object of panel. Okay, so the control or the this all, okay, panel, scroll pane is the object actually. This is an object. So let us include a label. Okay, this is a label. So we notice this is JLabel1. So when I drag and drop and put in my at the panel 1, okay, we see that J is JLabel1, right? So you need to change, you need to change the text, right? The text of the property of the text. So currently it's JLabel1. That's why it display JLabel1. So JLabel1 here actually is a label on the top of the text. The name of the control label is JLabel1 as well. Later we're going to change the name. So, but then here we need to change it to the input form. Okay, let me check our, so input person info. Okay, input person info. So we naming as a input person info. So input info. Okay, so you notice that it's changed to input person info. So you can make it the width. Just select this uh, the apa nama macam ni. So you can change the fonts here. and make it a bold, something like this. Okay, at the font side, so you see that this is the input person info, right? And then we're going to have a radio button. So this is first radio button, and this is second radio button. So in the panel. So let me check the name of the radio button. So maybe we can see it based on, let us see the palette, navigator. Okay, so I'll put navigator here, right? Okay, so I just want to let you know that, see here, you have a JFrames. So inside the JFrame, you have a JPanel1. So when I click this JPanel1, you will notice that it will be highlighted to show you this is panel1 and this is JPanel2. Okay, so when I click this plus button, mean that I'm going to drop the tree. Then you will notice that there is a JLabel1, JRadioButton1, and JRadioButton2. But then the name of button and the label is not um, show you the right means, right? So we need to naming the label. So I go to code. Okay, you go to code, and then you see there is a variable name. Then we need to change this JLabel1 to the input label. So this is how I'm naming my control. Okay, so I'm start with input, mean that I'm sure is refer to the this input person info, and LBL show you that the control is a label. So I know this one is a label. Okay, so for radio button, just click radio button. Okay, or you can click here. Okay, then we are still in code tab. You see that the variable name is JRadioButton. So I'm going to name it as let me check our GUI staff or student, staff or student. So we name it as staff radio button, staff RAD BTN. Okay, and then the second radio button, I can use this ellipse. Then I name it as student RAD BTN. So you need to follow these naming conventions. Okay. So later I'm going to change the text of this radio button, this one to student, and the first radio button to staff. But the name of this object is the one that we change it in a variable name under the code tab. Okay. So you notice that it's already changed. Previously it's radio button 1, radio button 2, right? So now I'm going to change this radio button name. You go to properties and you go to text, right? So J radio button 1. So now I'm changing to staff. So it will change to staff. Then go back to this. So this is going to be student. So we have this one, right? So if I'm run this code, right? So let us run this. I just go to this run project, and then asks us to select the main class. Yeah, our main class in the input form. Click we. So you notice that this is come up something like this, right? So this is your screen, and you can select in your radio button is staff or student. But then if you notice here, when I'm selecting both, right? So it been checked. So we for radio button, it's only one radio button is selected at one time. So we need later we're going to add a button group. So I'm going to add a button group to solve the problem just now. So I just drag and just put it there. So you notice that is a button group 1 here. You won't notice inside or on the top of the frame. You don't notice that, but you notice it here. So now I'm going to select. Wait, I'm going to select staff radio button and student radio button later. So we're going to assign this radio button to the button group. So previously they don't have a button group, right? So now we have a button group properties, and then we need to select the name of button group. So button group I did not change. I leave it as a button group 1. So I just select button group 1, and then second one a student. Okay, so I select button group 1 as well, because this one for the student radio button. So now you notice that there is a link between both of them already. What we call it, a group. If you run this, then you notice you can select either staff or student. But this one doesn't have an event yet. Okay, so let me stop this video, and we continue the next video. Thank you.